Hey folks, so here I am again at Crestbrook Dale. I've been away in Essex. I went back to my hometown to have a little Christmas gathering with my brothers. Three of my four brothers. The other one is in Australia. It was really beautiful actually. Yeah, it's actually the home that my parents bought for my grandparents, and then they moved into there when my grandparents died, and then when they died they left it to me and my brothers, and I actually renovated it back in 2000 when I was sort of in my red letter days era. So it's still got a lot of the renovations, so all of the kind of beautiful oak, parquet, wood floorings and granite worktops that I put in. It's very sweet to go back there. And so it's been an interesting few days because, of course, if those of you who follow me on Telegram will know that last week finally got round to putting up the Christmas tree in our home, and this year I decided to put it in the south of the house, of the lounge, which is the fame sector. And I remember doing that back in 1998. We had this huge Christmas tree at Red Letter Days in our office. Huge, ginormous Christmas tree with red lights and red baubles because we were Red Letter Days. And literally within like a week, I was on Watchdog facing Anne Robinson. In fact, I found the videotape of that in a drawer the other day. I'm going to have to get that remastered digitally and put it out because that was my first ever television appearance live with Anne Robinson. And it was the 30th of October. So it was a trial by fire, my first media experience. And I went through I remember a whole day's training, media training. And I was actually 4 months pregnant at the time. And I just remember I think it was my partner at the time, or I was being driven with the media guy. I think we're taking him back to his hotel or something, and I was just being sick. I was like morning sickness. It was horrific, and I was absolutely terrified of going on to TV. And so, of course, this Christmas tree, which then my son Eddie and his girlfriend Abby put all the baubles on while I was away at the weekend. And I thought to myself, I'm reactivating my fame sector, and sure enough, and I did actually post on Telegram. I bet by the end of next week, I'll be in all the tabloid newspapers again. And so, hey presto! Yesterday, the Mail Online did another one of its hatchet jobs, and so of course I've got all sorts of emails from people wanting a comment, and Mail Online wanting to do a follow-up. I'm just going to stop here because we are here. Oh, Kobe's doing a shit. Hold on. He doesn't normally do a poo here, but I can see why he might want to stop here and just basically purge, do a giant purge, because here we are. We're at the scene of the devastated land. Just shocking. I mean, I'm still in shock. And of course, see how this track has been completely churned up. I mean, let's just give you the full extent of it. Full extent. They cut through the chain. Trespassing, obviously. This is complete trespass. Came through the gate with heavy plant machinery, trucks, and basically took a bulldozer to this entire area. And I'll put on it once again a picture which we took in October, so a couple of months ago, of how it was looking. And it was we'd put down limestone gravel, and it was growing through, and by the spring it would have been completely obscured. And I mean, I know farmers, and it is a very normal thing to put down slack, what they call slack, on earth around gates and tracks to give it to avoid things becoming a mud bath. So it's totally lawful. And I mean, I have to say, I personally, I'm one of many owners of this land. I personally was not in favour of putting any plastic or eco-grid, but someone in our community was very insistent that if we didn't do that, it wouldn't be right, and that's what he'd done on his driveway at home, and we had to do it. So that was apparently what turned it into some kind of alleged engineering works. So anyway, it's just devastation what they've done. I mean, anyone who is delighted at this, if Save Cressbrookdale campaign, the hate campaign, which has been going, I think is running out of steam. It's just a few zealots now, really. I'll use the word zealot because that's been used on me, but they truly are. At the heart of it is some very megalomaniac, driven by pure ego. So anyone who is delighted at this, well, that just tells you everything you need to know, really. Anyone who is delighted at this does not love this land, does not love Cressbrookdale. Anyway, this is like being delighted at seeing lots of people slaughtered in Gaza or something. It's just shocking. Anyway, so of course the tabloids press are having another field day, and it's just all water off a duck's back for me. I mean, I can't count how many times I've been in the media for whatever reason, for the whole Red Letter Days thing, then Dragon's Den, and then this, and then that, and it's just like, I think that the media, every article they publish is, yes, Kobe, that's what you think about it. A pile of poop. Okay, so getting on to the main point of this video, because I get that I've been rambling. In my experience, these kind of shocking incidents, they kind of work at two levels. And it's very much a kind of mirror of the book what I wrote, Liberation, which has got two halves. And one half is the black and white side, which is the false matrix side, which is the 3D reality. And then the other side is the metaphysical side, the rainbow side. And so it kind of works at two levels. So there's a 3D response, then there's the metaphysical response, because I really know, without any shadow of a doubt, I've been shown this by the medicine work when I was in Peru. Some people in this metaphysical, spiritual world, shamanic world, spiritual world, some people are really brilliant at music and playing the flute like the Amazing Mog, or playing the harp like Lucidia. And other people are really good at, say, meditation and teaching and creativity and art like Angela. Some people are really good at food and growing and vegan cooking and, delicious things like that. And so the medicine was kind of showing me that my specialist assignment, shall we say, my specialist skill is basically shadow work, and it's basically going in to the darkest corners of the labyrinth and shining the light, a bit like Perseus and the Minotaur. Have I mixed up Greek myths there? But it's like going deep into the labyrinth and slaying the beast, basically walking through whatever fear and just slicing through and slaying the demon, which of course it's a metaphysical narrative about cutting through the illusion of the delusion of duality and all of these things, all of these kind of Greek myths like Jason and the Argonauts, for example, where he is on this quest to get the golden fleece and he has the help of the gods and he has to face all of these creatures attacking him en route. Dredging this up from my childhood, where we used to watch that movie. Do you remember that 1960s version of Jason and the Argonauts? I used to love that movie. Anyway, so it kind of works at a 3D level. So there's the kind of responding on a 3D level, which is the very strong no, which is the standing in common law, which is the I do not consent, which is the please provide evidence, which is the I require the return of the stolen teepee, which is the reporting it to the police. So all of those 3D false matrix elements, it's important to do them, and it's important to have a very strong 3D response, because what's actually happening right now is that many people are now standing up to this system which is institutionalized bullying, institutionalized corporate mugging, which is causing a huge amount of pain and suffering. which is, I don't know, sending. I mean, I have all sorts of things coming, across my awareness on this. Thugs arriving, trying to, with elderly people, trying to basically take all their stuff for some bus lane violation that no one actually knew about. I mean, the scale of fear and terror and suffering and pain that is being caused by the false matrix and its systems of command control are out of control now. And so there's many people who are standing up, many people who are taking a common law stance, many people who are either creating alternative local ways of organising, like all of the community assemblies that are popping up. Obviously, the Love movement, we are wanting to stand as independent candidates in the elections, and not really with any expectation of being elected, because the grip of the red-blue system is so tightly gripped in, but just simply as a way of creating awareness of what is going on. So there is this false matrix response, and I do believe it's very important, and a lot of people are, like going on marches like we did back I only went on a couple, but millions of people turned out for those marches back in the lockdown era. And, the people were coming out in force to say, no, we do not consent. We will not comply with this totalitarian, creeping, fascist state. And so there's many, many people now who are standing strong and in that strong no. But then there's another level, which is on the metaphysical plane, which is the shadow work, which is collapsing it on the inner planes and transmuting this energy, because it's all one. When an incident like this happens, it gives a very clear indication of something that needs to be resolved, healed, collapsed, transmuted on the metaphysical planes. And I'm very grateful actually to Hugh Manatee. He's an astrologer. He was actually on the very first The People Speak Out when we started them back in January 2021. His avatar is the dolphin. It's like a dolphin, but it's actually a manatee. But he's an astrologer, and he was commenting a lot on my last video about devastation and desecration. If you look in the comments, you'll see there's a lot of comments from Hugh. Hugh spelled H-I-W, Hugh Manatee. And he's talking about the transformative power of Pluto. So Pluto is the god of the underworld. And Pluto is all about this metamorphic transformation. And it is a Kali energy, it's the destroyer. So at the moment, Pluto has been going through Capricorn since 2008. Basically, this era where Pluto has been grinding its way through Capricorn, and then it's been retrograding and going back in and retrograding. And I think Pluto right now is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, which is the critical degree of Capricorn. And Capricorn is the patriarchy. It is the false matrix. And so it's like we're seeing the destruction of the false matrix, and it is going to go into Aquarius, pop back in, and then it will move out of Capricorn, and it won't go back for another 200 years. And the last time that this happened was the last time that Pluto was kind of in this place was the American independence, where America freed itself from the oppressive rule of the British monarchy and declared its independence after a lot of fighting and battle, obviously. The interesting thing is that America and the Declaration of Independence was fundamentally Quaker. And it was the Quakers like William Penn who had been using common law to stand up to the British monarchy. I do refer to people who are interested in common law. Listen to the trial by jury of William Penn, where the king decreed that no one was allowed to meet in groups of more than 6 for any religious meeting other than Church of England meetings. And so William Penn exercised his common law right to hold a meeting, and he was arrested. And he demanded his right to a trial by jury, and that has been reconstructed, where the judge tried his best to get the jury to find William Penn guilty, and they locked them in a room without food, and They used every kind of oppression to try to get a guilty verdict. And the only thing that the jury found William Penn guilty of was holding a meeting in the street. In other words, there was no crime committed. He was not a criminal. So William Penn went on to found Pennsylvania. So the Declaration of Independence was a very symbolic in that it was a small group of people, the founding forefathers, this very small group of people who took it upon themselves to stand and declare independence against the monarchy. So it was a huge risk to them, but that was the creation of the United States of America. So it's very, very symbolic that we're exactly come back to that point in time where the people are reclaiming their power over these tyrannical external forces which would attempt to prevent people's lawful rights. And so what's happened here at Crestbrookdale, just to bring it back into what's going on here, this is like a microcosm of the macrocosm. This is an incident where you have this authority that has both unlawfully and illegally created devastation on this land. So, of course, the Quakers had the faith in God. So they were undoubtedly using a huge amount of prayer and meditation and visioning. So to have created all of those amazing places like Pennsylvania, I mean, we have to acknowledge, and Marianne Williamson talks a lot about this. I mean, I've been following her campaign again for the presidential nomination for the Democrat Party. It's amazing what she is doing. Whether you agree 100% with Marianne Williamson, I really admire what she is doing to shine a light on what is happening in America, how it has been taken over by the big corporate organizations and everything's being driven by the military-industrial complex, by Big Pharma, and the gap between rich and poor is ever widening. And when I went to Las Vegas, it was shocking to see the number outside. When you went outside of the city, obviously inside the walls of that open prison, which is kind of essentially bordered by freeways, which you can't get across without a car. When you went outside of Las Vegas itself, into the suburbs, like the number of dome tents and people sleeping under bridges and just people who just fallen down in the street, stoned, just like unconscious, and might even have been dead, who knows. And a society cannot sustain that level of disparity without some catastrophic result. And just look at the French Revolution. I mean, I went to see, when I was in Godalming for the Year of the Dragon Day, I went with Brian Smith to see Napoleon. I mean, that starting point of Napoleon was the French Revolution, where the people, the sort of people who couldn't even afford to eat, turned on the aristocracy, just cut their heads off, and out of the resulting chaos of that meltdown of society came characters like Napoleon, because of course the new leaders, they need strong military generals to assert authority. So this is the way it works, folks, and it's been going on for centuries, but having conscious awareness of this is really key, because there are more tools in the toolkit than just chaos, destruction, violence. I mean, this is the interesting thing. People have been commenting on the video I made about the destruction here, and observing that Satan can only destroy. Satan cannot create. But what I'm witnessing is that there are many, many people now who are co-creating, who are visioning an amazing alternative future reality to the transhuman, digital, totalitarian control nightmare which is winging our way if we do not pattern interrupt it. But I detect that there are many, many people now who are visioning, co-creating an alternative future reality where we are rejecting digital everything, reconnecting with nature, regaining control of our food supply, looking at natural health and healing rather than this big pharma era. I mean, big pharma has nothing to do with healing. It's just about medication and profit. So what big pharma will seek to do is to diagnose, label and prescribe. So it's nothing about healing, whereas in the world of shamanism, it's all about healing. So going back to that point, in terms of this land, as someone who has been trained in trauma healing and shamanic practices, whilst I've done all the 3D stuff, there's a big piece to do on the metaphysical planes of the inner healing. And that involves me taking 100% personal responsibility for everything manifesting in my awareness to collapse it on the inner planes. I've been doing a lot of very deep, intense inner work to transform the situation, to do the Pluto aspect of this transformation, because in every adversity lie the seeds of opportunity, to quote Napoleon Hill. I mean, I've been having some very, very intense dreams, shamanic healing dreams, almost like plant medicine dreams, every night during the night. And I highly recommend this. I take some charcoal, some activated charcoal, and it's good to take it during the night because it will draw out everything in your body, and it will draw out nutrients as well as toxins. So it's good to take it completely away from food so that it cleanses your whole system, and then you purge out any toxins, and then you have a very clean palate in your body. And what I have found is that when I wake in the night for water, I take some activated charcoal, maybe at sort of 2, 3, 4 a.m. whenever I wake up. And then I can literally feel it working through my body. And then I go back to sleep and I have these incredible plant medicine dreams, which are, it's almost like the charcoal. Well, it is a form of medicine. And it's pulling out and it's helping me to process everything that needs to be processed. So I've been having some very, very intense dreams, incredible dreams. I mean, last night in my dream, I was here at Crestbrook Dale in the forest, which is in the northwest of the land, which is the area of the patriarchy. And somehow that I was in this building, which was a sort of confection of all of the kind of buildings of my time in the false matrix. So there was my Red Letter Days offices combined with all of the accountancy offices that I used to work in, with all of like cabinets full of filing, full of files, full of client files, and there were all these desks. And the interesting thing about this place, which was my home, is that the walls were all crumbling, and I could see through these crumbling walls, completely open to the forest, and I could see through to the other side of the dale where another sort of, it was almost like a multi-storey car park, where there were hundreds of people living. It was almost like a South American ghetto, and lots of kids and women, and imagine a multi-storey car park with open levels, but they sort of hung all these blankets and multicoloured kind of sheets to kind of create makeshift affordable housing. And so it was quite incredible to see this vista of all of these people that were living in the land. And then these two officials arrived from the Peak Park. This is in my dream. And they were very official and completely in the false matrix, very yin looking, no vitality, no heart, soulless creatures. And they just came with all these piles of all this legal papers and litigation. And this guy he was the chairman. I'd never met this guy, but he was just like a sort of almost a demonic character. And he basically said to me, we're going to cut you. Unless you comply, we're going to cut you. And I said, what do you mean you're going to cut me? So we're going to cut everything. We're going to cut everything. And it was like quite a ferocious guy. And then it went on to another part of the dream where Davina, who is an amazing shaman who was involved when we manifested this land, and I've done a lot of work with her in Peru. I've done 4 pilgrimages in Peru. She's a very high vibrational, very experienced shamanic healer. she appeared in the dream, and there was this whole group of women, and she appeared, and she suddenly gave me this incredible higher dimensional intergalactic sound healing, where she got these 2 drums, and she put these 2 drums, they were vibrating, like they were drums, but they were like vibrating at a very high frequency, and she put them either side of my head behind my ears, and I could really hear and feel them, and she literally lifted me up with these drums, and I could feel the vibration going all the way down my spine. And then she got this, she put me down, and then she got this like a gong, which was like a Chinese gong, like a double-sided gong, about a foot in diameter. And again, it was vibrating at this incredible frequency, and she was like rotating it around me. And I could feel every cell in my body aligning to this resonance. And then when it was finished, I could feel this, like this, oh God, there's something in my mouth. I opened my mouth. I pulled out this thing, and it was a tiny, like a small, like statue of Ganesh, a metal statue of Ganesh. And on his head was like a white marble lizard gecko, like a little statue. And it just felt super auspicious, like all the blockages have been cleared. And so that's just an example of just like this incredible dream. But the interesting thing, I believe, is that because obviously I've been deeply in the false matrix in my corporate life, you know, I did a whole accountancy training, and then I created my own business, and I created this whole multi-million-pound business, and I was deeply in the matrix. And it's almost like and this is what Pam Gregory says, it's like the walls are crumbling, the false matrix is collapsing. And so all of those old programs are being collapsed, unplugged, uninstalled. So literally the walls are collapsing. And once those spells are broken, the spells of the false matrix, once they're pattern interrupted and broken, and the conscious awareness has been brought to them, and the light has been shone on them, and they've been cleared out, then the externals magically transform. We've been doing a lot of chanting as well. It's incredible. There's an incredible mantra which Lucidia and Raphael did for our group, and we do a lot of healing work, and I specifically asked them to chant this mantra because it's so powerful in terms of the healing that needs to take place at this land. So it's been a very intense, strong time, and I'm super appreciative that I have the skills and the training and the knowledge and the support around me to be able to process this strong Witiko and transmute this trauma. So it is very much, it's like very much that was Kali energy, which was coming up when I made that video on, I think it was Saturday, when I first saw the devastation and desecration. And since then I've been doing this deep inner work alongside all of the 3D letters and everything that needs to be done on a false matrix level to cut through the illusion, because this is what's really key. It needs a pattern interrupt. So everyone that is in this program, that is just running the programs, and they have the training in these organizations is MK Ultra level PSYOP, mind control. So it takes almost like it's almost like you have to take an energetic knife to it, like a machete, and cut through. And in the same way that words can create spells, words can also break spells, which is why one of the things I believe I'm quite good at is the ability with using my voice to be able to pierce, to cut through the illusion and slice through it and break the patterns, pattern interrupt. And breathe. So there's a lot happening on the inner planes. There's a lot happening in the false matrix, a lot of disturbance. So interesting with all these incidents. You know, I mean, this is pristine chi here. It's like a blank canvas. It's like an amazing, pristine white dress that will show up every last stain and mark. So So when people get involved with Crestbrook Dale, the Wetiko has no place to hide. It has to show its face. And that's what's been happening in all the incidents which have happened here. Whoever they've concerned is like a very high vibrational medicine journey. We are on a medicine journey, and this earth is very powerful. So the earth is the medicine. So there's no coincidence that we were brought here and magically manifested this land, because we have in our community, we have the people who have the ability to be able to work with this energy. And so collectively, I'm receiving a lot of support from other members of the community who can see what's going on energetically. And I believe I have the ability to transmute a lot of this on a very deep level, on the inner planes, because it is intense shadow work. But this is the amazing thing, is that when it's collapsed on the inner planes, the externals magically transform. So I have been using the power of imagination as well, envisioning. It was funny, I was listening to the mantras on the way back from Chelmsford and somehow touched my phone as I was listening on YouTube, and it switched to a video of Wayne Dyer, who is Wayne W. Dyer, isn't it? Now, he was part of my spiritual mastermind group, and I used to invoke him every morning. I don't do those invocations anymore so much, but nonetheless, he does appear to me often, frequently, on my journey. And it was this 90-minute talk he did about the power of manifestation and knowing and intention and visioning. And it was just like such rich teachings I listened to yesterday. So a big part of it, I'd already been doing this, but it just was a great reminder. I had already been visioning the healing of our land in my mind's eye. And the thing that I see, and I'll explain it to you, the thing that I've seen, and this is my visioning in my mind's eye, is that area which has been churned to buggery, but which is now perfectly flat, I'm visioning the most perfect circle, gathering together 9 of the amazing fallen boulders from around the site and positioning them in a perfect circle, 9 stones, with a line around the whole of the border, using the limestone rock, sort of low flat stones, creating an exact circular border, and filling that circle with limestone, white limestone gravel. And so that it can be seen from space, just this perfect white circle. And maybe we will, maybe on the solstice, or maybe I will energetically create it with burying some rose quartz crystals or some white quartz crystals, just to energetically create it on the sort of to do a little ceremony, should we put it like that, on the winter solstice, which is on Friday the 22nd. Interestingly, normally it's the 21st, so very symbolically it's not 21/12, it's 22/12, which is obviously the 22 is enlightenment in the tarot. It's the double feminine, and that's the secret of the 21st card of the tarot, which is the world, which is about enlightenment, is actually in truth the 22nd card, because the Fool is the 0. So actually 22 cards in the major arcana, and that's the secret wisdom of the tarot, is that enlightenment is that this creative force is feminine. So the 22, and of course there are 22 souls who came together to create this community. So it's very symbolic, and there are 22 rose quartz hearts buried in a despacho in this land, which is one of the very first things we did. So it's very symbolic. So we'll be doing that shamanic work. We'll be doing a space clearing. I might well bring my drum. Certainly I'll bring my bell. Might bring MJ to help me, because he's back from Africa for Christ Mass. And the other thing that I see, in addition to this amazing, perfect white circle, of this healing circle, is on the hill above it, overlooking the scene of devastation and destruction. There's a, like you see in Peru, on every mountain, and the famous one is in Brazil, but when you go to Peru or South America, you see this a lot. Like on the top of the mountains, like for example, if we're in Peru, on the top of that ridge there, they have an amazing, like Christ the Redeemer statue, like a white statue against a blue sky. And they have like it's lit up at night, so they're incredible, absolutely incredible. We made a little journey up took a photograph with one of those. I might dig that photo out. It's a great photo in Peru of the ginormous statues. But I have this vision of this white Christ the Redeemer statue overlooking the scene of devastation and destruction. And Lucidia and Raphael also chanted the Hare Krishna mantra on Monday, which felt very symbolic, because it is a healing of that unevolved masculine energy. And when we have healed that unevolved masculine energy and we have got the Christ light, this is the return of the light. So literally we're in the darkest part of the year. This is where Satan comes out to play. And then we have the solstice, which is the return of the light, the Christ Mass. And so this is a very symbolic time of year. It's a very good time of the year to do shadow work, a bit like the dark of the moon. And so we will be using this powerful winter solstice to metaphysically shift the energy and transform what is happening, and heal, transmute, heal, and return to wholeness all of the darkness, all of the Watiko, all of the trauma which is going on, which is showing its face so clearly in the pristine chi of this amazing Crestbrookdale natural temple. So sending you lots of love, and I'll check in again soon. Okay, bye for now. Let your rain fall upon dry land, on these raging fires, with your holy hands. Let your rain fall upon dry lands, on these raging fires, with your holy
Rukamiva bandana Prityo Mokshiyamamrita Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Purva Rukamiva bandana Prityo Mokshiyamamrita Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Purva Rukamiva bandana Nityo Mokshiyamamrita Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Purva Rukamiva bandana Nityo Mokshiyamamrita Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Purva Rukamiva bandana Nityo Mokshiyamamrita Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Purva Rukamiva bandana Nityo Mokshiyamamrita Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Purva Rukamiva bandana Nityo Mokshiyamamrita Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Purva Rukamiva bandana Nityo Mokshiyamamrita
Let your rain fall upon dry land. Calm these raging fires with your holy